Hey guys, it's Mike here, and in this video, I'm going to be reviewing Halloween 2018, which is a sequel to the original Halloween movie. Directed by David Gordon Green and produced by the original film director John Carpenter, this movie is exclusively a sequel to the original Halloween, and ignores all of the sequel films. Now, I've been a fan of the Halloween movies since I was a kid. I've seen all of them many times, and some of them are pretty good, but some of them are also pretty bad, especially Halloween Resurrection. So when I heard about this Halloween movie, which seems to be a part of a growing trend of retcon movies, I didn't know what to expect. However, as more information started to come out about the movie, and we learned that it would be similar to Halloween H2O, I was intrigued. And then when I saw the trailers and learned that the original director would be back, I started to feel a little excited. I didn't go into this movie expecting a masterpiece or a movie on par with the original, but my expectations were raised. So now upon seeing the movie, I can say that my expectations were pretty well met. Now the story of the film takes place 40 years after the original. Michael Myers has been in captivity since the events of the first film, having been caught afterward. Meanwhile, Laurie Strode, played by the returning Jamie Lee Curtis, has been spending her time preparing for the eventual day that Myers would escape. The setup is similar to H2O, where Myers escapes from his captivity and returns to finish the job. However, unlike that movie, the film is once again set in Haddonfield, feeling more in line with the original movies. Now let me get into the acting here, starting with Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode. The original Halloween movie is an all-time classic horror film, and much of that revolves around Curtis as Strode. As a result, the sequels often brought her character back to continue her story, and Curtis has always been good in these movies, especially when she's been allowed to get involved in the action. So her coming back for this film really gave it more credibility. Unlike the other sequels, however, this movie deals with post-traumatic stress disorder and what an event like the original film would have on someone. In this case, Laurie went in the direction of making herself stronger and preparing for Michael's return. However, her character also took this to an obsessive level, causing a strained relationship with her daughter and her family. It's pretty similar to Sarah Connor from the Terminator movies, especially Terminator 2. However, all of her work pays off as her character gets to use these skills as Myers returns. And once again, Curtis shows that she's great in the action sequences, as well as selling the serious nature of the events. Additionally, Nick Castle, who played the original Michael Myers, returns in this film, sharing the portrayal of Myers with James Courtney. And they did a great job here. Although Myers is a silent, masked killer, these two actors did a great job of making him appear menacing, and like he was an unstoppable monster. And a lot of these actors, I feel like, often don't get credit for playing this kind of role, but they're an important part of selling the character. And although it's usually obscured in some ways, we do get a good amount of Myers without his mask, and yet they were able to make him menacing even without it. A lot of this also comes down to the direction of David Gordon Green, who is a director with an interesting filmography to say the least. My favorite movie of his before this would likely be Pineapple Express, but that film couldn't be any more different from this one, as this one is steeped in tension throughout, using music as well as some extended takes and shots of Myers in the distance to set the mood of the film. It's very reminiscent of the original, and just like the original, it uses that classic John Carpenter score to great effect. Definitely far better than the Rob Zombie remakes used it. And this film, unlike those ones, really captured much of what made the original Halloween movie so good. When I was watching this, I actually felt like I was watching a Halloween movie, rather than a radically different take on the material. In addition to these actors, Will Patton appears as Officer Hawkins, who is a cop that was around during the original movie. He serves much like the other sheriff characters in previous entries. We also see Laurie's daughter, played by Judy Greer, and her granddaughter, played by Andy Matichak, who serves as one of the primary characters of the film, in a similar role to Laurie from the original. There's also Dr. Sartain, who pretty much serves as the new Dr. Loomis, although his interest in Myers seems more obsessive in a different way, which we see play out during the movie. These actors do mostly fine with the material, but the story is largely focused on the conflict between Laurie and Michael, as well as as the discussion of what motivates Michael to commit these acts. Now, speaking of his motivations, this film does make some references to events of films such as Halloween 2. However, major plot elements such as Laurie being Michael's younger sister have been written off as rumors. Thus, that connection is retconned and no longer a factor. As a result, the reason why Myers is on his murderous rampage is one of the mysteries of the film. The brother-sister connection has been something many fans of the original have seen as a problem for a while. However, I never really had a problem with it. In fact, I always really liked Halloween 2. While it's not necessarily as good as the original, there's a lot of good in it, and I think the connection that was established and some of the more mystical elements of Myers' character made the story more interesting. However, this film took things in a different direction, which I think worked for what the film was looking to accomplish. Now, is this a perfect movie? Not really. There's some cliched elements, such as Laurie's granddaughter having problems with a boyfriend and going to a high school dance. Characters make a lot of typical dumb horror movie mistakes, and there are some jump scares during the movie. I also thought the ending was a little abrupt, but overall, I think this movie accomplished what it set out to do. It was looking to be a strict continuation of the original Halloween movie and a strong sequel that would give us good horror and action elements, as well as help reinvigorate the franchise. The movie isn't anywhere near as obnoxious about this as other films, with tons of hints at a sequel and that there will be an endless stream of sequels to come, but aside from its connections to the original, it exists mostly as a self-contained movie, and that's a little refreshing given our current cinematic landscape. As a result of all these factors, I'd say that it's an entertaining movie with a good atmosphere, good acting, and strong tension throughout. Now, would I say that it's the best Halloween movie since the original? Not necessarily. I'll likely have to watch this again on Blu-ray, along with the others before making that determination, but it's definitely a strong contender. I'm going to give Halloween 2018 an 8 out of 10. I'd recommend seeing this movie in theaters if you're a fan of the Halloween franchise and horror movies in general. I think you'll probably have a fun time. So what did you guys think of Halloween 2018? Have you seen it? And if so, did you like it or did you dislike it? Let me know down below. And if you're new to this channel, then make sure to subscribe and enable notifications so that you can see all of my videos right away when they come out. And make sure to stick around, because there's a lot more to come in the future.
Yeah, and you better subscribe, enable those damn notifications.